think once you get to that 8 to 10 property level where you can hire somebody to take the phone calls, that's when you really get comfortable and you can thrive and you can sleep at night because you're not getting the clogged toilet bowl. You're not getting, change a light bulb. You're not getting, the guy who cuts the lawn, put clippings on my driveway, So, I'm fortunate enough. I do have one full-time maintenance guy. He handles the calls. He does the lawns. He does the snow plowing. I still do all the leasing. I do all the, it's another thing that's changed this business in the last, probably 3-4 years with your Venmo, your Cash Apps, your Zells. Yeah. Collecting rent has become very, very, very easy.
We are live. We got Tom Mealy, Gary Heenan. We will get rocking and rolling. But Tom Mealy, welcome to this episode of Pucks to Properties. Tom, why do we do this?
Bob, thank you again. I know you're rusty because you forgot sponsors. You forgot why we haven't been here in a while. You forgot the fact that
I just came from the Philippines. It's a 24-hour trip. I just flew in late last night.
I know. No good. All good. Took about a month off. We are recharged. We are back in the mix, back in the grind. You've been traveling. I've been traveling. Schedules haven't lined up with guests, but we carved out some time. Gary, thank you so much. The reason why we do this is for obvious reasons, to make different connections in different markets all over the country, but also to give back to the game. The game created who we are today, whether it be culture, personality, grit, tenacity, taking that into the business world. Gary is still coaching, but very, very impressive from a business standpoint, owns 100 rental properties. It's actually funny. I think this is a good episode considering we literally were just talking about this morning, given the goal for each of us in the office is to get to 100, far ways away, but we'll get there eventually. And I want to hear the story and basically the balance between business and sports. And Gary, we appreciate the time. And, obviously you're on the road right now, life of the coach. So you're still living the life that we all did. Eventually I got sick of it. I didn't want to be on the road anymore. I needed something more stable. So, but thank you for managing your time and your schedule and being here today.
So yeah, it's great to be on with you guys. You guys had reached out to try and grab one of our graduates and currently finishing off his pro career, and the time was great. So just reaching out to you guys, no one was into real estate, kind of sparked my interest, and super to be on with you guys, and hopefully we can maybe partner on some things down the road.
Absolutely. So just to give everyone a little background, Gary's head coach of Utica College for 20 plus years, came from north of Toronto, which, sorry about your Toronto Maple Leafs, Gary. Holy shit. They had a rough one this year. Their coach just got fired today as well.
Yeah, my parents are actually immigrants right from Scotland, and they landed via boat across the Atlantic there in 1967, which was the year that the Leafs last won the cup. And so they are absolute diehard Leaf fans. Of course, I have to be. I've kind of got my son into that a little bit as well. And it is trying times. Leaf Nation mourns again. Yep.
It is. And we see that you're on the road. I know we talked a little bit before we jumped on this call. You're on a recruiting trip right now. Obviously, that never ends. You guys had some impressive seasons, a number of championships. You guys are on the top of your division for the last, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, we've been on a pretty good run. I mean, certainly in our league, we've won our league 8 years in a row. We've been to the national tournament for the last 5 years. This year was just a blast. We turned over 17 guys on our roster. So having 15 freshmen, 2 transfers, we had little expectations compared to past years, and we landed in the Frozen Four. So really energizing. The group was super awesome buy-in, and just loved it. As you get into your 24th year as a head coach here, it's nice to have these years where really, really energy was up. A ton of coaching, ton of video, but loved every minute of it.
So what do you think? Obviously, a lot of turnover. What's your opinion on the portal and people could jump and transfer? It's all free agency. What's your thought process on the college level?
Yeah, it's certainly the game's evolved the last 2-3 years. 2 years ago, when the portal first came out, we got 7 Division I transfers, and last year I think the Division I teams came to realize, man, maybe we should be more involved in the portal because we can push some young guys off, save some money, get these transfers to walk on. And so last year it was a lot harder for us to land some guys. We only got the 2. So it's evolving. I think people are still learning what value there is there, how to actually use it, the recruiting calendar. When do you hold spots till this late in the year, in midsummer? It's definitely different. And as I mentioned to you guys before, if you're not adapting your college recruiting process, you're going to get left behind. So it's different. It's May. Will I be making a home visit in June and July? I'm sure I will be. And unfortunately for guys on our current roster, if we can get richer, if we can get a better player to come in, we're going to have that tough call of calling one of the depth guys saying, you might want to find somewhere else to go. Yeah.
Does it change who you look for? Like the age group that you actually start recruiting from? Like, how does that work going down? Because now you're recruiting almost like 7 years, if you will, right? Because you still have active players on other teams. If they jump in the portal, it's a lot. Is that a lot different for you guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference with where you guys were the big boys is you guys are getting tracked at 16, 17, 15, 13 years old for the big top 10 guys. For us D3 guys, we don't want to spin our wheels. So we're going to jump on guys, they're 19, 20-year-old year only. And now if we can get a Hockey East guy that's played 3-4 years and played 60, 70, 80 games, we're going to jump on that guy. That's a guy that can make a difference at our level. And all he's looking to do is pad his resume for a pro chance, and hasn't maybe got the special teams that he thought he would get. He's more of a depth role guy. So we put him in those power play specialty team situations. They flourish. They really do get their numbers up so they can show they can handle a puck, and off they go to the East Coast League, which is our goal at our level, is to get guys into the East Coast Hockey League.
Yeah, which is awesome. So let's jump over to real estate. Obviously, this is Puck to Properties podcast. So walk us back. When was the first time you got into real estate? Because this is the first time we've ever had a coach on here. We've had actually one coach. But the first time we ever had a coach that has 100 doors, that's a real estate investor. We've had the brokers on. So walk us through how you got into real estate.
Yeah, just kind of a young university, really went through an expansion about 20 years ago when they started all these sports. And, I had an attorney that when I first got to town as a single guy, we used to run around town together and, hit the bar scene here, he jumped on a student rental property. He said there's students looking for properties. There's not enough on-campus housing at Utica University. And so him and I jumped in and buying a couple together. And these were single-family homes that you would throw 4 students in and charge them a per-room rate. Yep. And, the margins in this area were just incredible. You could pick up a single-family house, and it was a decade ago that we got into this, for literally $40,000 to $60,000, and charging at that time $500-600 per bedroom. And as you guys know, the rates at that time were about 4%, maybe 5%, and then they dipped, of course, down to 3%, and now we are in the rate environment we're in right now. But this city has appreciated over the last 3-4 years, somewhat 40%. And when I first got into the game, it wasn't about appreciation. The Utica, New York was not appreciating, period. It was a long-term play on equity, and that was fine. There was certainly cash flow with that 4th bedroom. I was learning how to properly borrow money, how to really get creative in borrowing money, not being afraid to borrow money, not being afraid to take chances, over leveraging yourself, losing some sleep at night. And I think, when you take leaps and bounds, it's understanding that it is risk. It's being comfortable with math in its simplest form. And then it's building relationships in town having to partner to really get some big funds to make some major steps. So you get out of the small family business, you get multiple door units, you get into the apartment building where you're making big splash, big money risks. I was lucky enough to be invited to be a board member of a financial institution, which I exist in today. And when you can get a line of credit from a reputable financial institution, that's when you really start making waves, in my opinion. And that would be, to my young graduates that are smart and want to get into any kind of business, I really encourage them to get involved in boards. And that could be charitable boards, that could be financial boards, that could be, boards of companies that are just looking for creative ideas. But I think it's that networking that really introduces you to the guys that are on cutting edge, their ears to the ground. They just kind of have those opportunities come to them. And as you guys know, if a property is listed, it's probably not a great buy, it's I find the deals that get made for me, they never make it to the market. It's something that you get a tip on and there's a relationship there. So this has been a cool market for me. The single family homes in terms of student rentals, those margins have kind of gotten eaten up by both of those things, both the rate environment and the appreciation of property values here. But the rental market is still huge with families, young executives coming into this town as we grow, revitalize as an old manufacturing town. So the apartment building and getting into family rentals now is kind of where my business is headed.
So what's your mix right now of single families to apartments?
It's I certainly have about 20 houses. Okay. Some of those are anywhere from 1 to 3 units, and then I've got three apartment buildings.
Very nice. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. So just to give everyone an idea too, so my son plays for Pal Islanders NCDC right now, and I send a check of $800. He has 10 roommates, $800 a month. That's $8,000 a month. That you look at it, so it's probably about what eight months of the year. So that's 60. That's a lot of money when you start adding it up of what the mortgage payment is. Of course, there's wear and tear, right? But the thought process is, and Tom and I actually talked about this. We're in Connecticut. You have Danbury team over there. We're like, all right, we should start looking at buying. The same thing as a student rental, right? You're renting it to team members. It's kind of same concept.
It's the exact same concept, and I have housed NCDC members here. We have a pro soccer team, indoor soccer team here. I housed 6 of those guys this year.
Nice.
I have housed some of the American Hockey League guys here with the Comets. And if you get into those 6-8 bedroom monster houses that could be eyesores, throw $20,000 in renovations. As you've probably been in your son's place. These aren't palaces.
No.
The 8-month thing is obviously it's not ideal. We do get 10-month rentals out of students.
Yeah.
But as you guys know, when you talk to people, if it's just simple as math, right? Just get down. If you're making a profit on it, if you're able to carry, if you're borrowing, whatever that is, what your mortgage payments are, scratch it down. And, I got the early advice really early on. Like if you can make money while you're sleeping, that's the best way to do it. And I've bought into that theory.
Yeah. And so let's take a step back to the first property you bought. You had an attorney buddy. So he helped you get into it. So in essence, he was your mentor. It's always easier to, when you get involved in something, when someone's there to hold your hand. Do you agree?
Yeah, no question. We formed a pretty good partnership right off the bat. I obviously had access to the students working at the college. A student market was right in front of me. And then having a real estate attorney as your partner, all the attorney lawyering was, he did that, so that was kind of our agreement. I got the tenants, he did the lawyering, and that's how we got off the ground. But yeah, it is partnerships. Do I have other partners in my apartment buildings? I do. And those are more of the silent partner type as well, just because they're loaning me some money and then I'm the hands-on guy.
Yep. So do you do all the property management yourself?
I think it's a great question, and as people ask me for advice, or you've had friends that say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go for this, and they get 1, 2, maybe 3 properties, and you've heard it. Boy, is this a pain in the ass! I'm getting calls all the time, and is it really worth it? And how many people do we know that got in and then they get out? And
Yep.
There's just tons. And I think once you get to that 8 to 10 property level where you can hire somebody to take the phone calls, that's when you really get comfortable and you can thrive and you can sleep at night because you're not getting the clogged toilet bowl. You're not getting, I change a light bulb. You're not getting, the guy who cuts the lawn put clippings on my driveway.
Yep.
So I'm fortunate enough. I do have one full-time maintenance guy. He handles the calls. He does the lawns. He does the snow plowing. I still do all the leasing. I do all the, it's another thing that's changed this business in the last, probably 3-4 years with your Venmo, your Cash Apps, your Zells. Yeah. Collecting rent has become very, very, very easy. You can imagine 20 years ago of having to drive around, get checks from people and chasing them. And the nice thing about the student market is they pay. Like, they always pay.
Right.
You're dealing with educated population that understands their billing and their responsibilities, and so that's a breath of fresh air. Have I got into some litigation as I got into the family market? I have. I'm being sued for the first time on a lady who fell down some stairs, and and you're learning that there's a reason you buy the right level of insurance, and you can sleep at night because your lawyers and those guys that mentor you say you better have $1 million umbrella policy, and things like that. So lots to learn, always learning. Certainly don't know enough right now, and love talking to you guys so that I can learn more.
Yeah. It's interesting. So about partners. I've always been, from day one when I retired from hockey, I went out on my own, and I hated it. I 100% hate working by myself. So after my first deal, I ended up seeking out some dude and ended up partnering with him, and ended up, partnering him for 10 years. And nowadays I have a couple different partners in each of my businesses. And what's your take on, if somebody's coming out of school or someone's just retiring, what's your take on either being a lone wolf or, finding a mentor or finding a partner?
Yeah, I think if you're coming out of school, you probably have some bills to pay. I mean, you guys were big dogs. You're probably full scholarship. You had no bills. But, in the Division III world, guys got some student loans. And so working under even a larger real estate firm, just so you can learn just the ins and outs and how the math works and, what a cap rate is and those types of things. And having the funds to make some purchases. And I think, that's probably an ideal situation just because you have money coming into your pocket. If you're a retired guy, you've got cash behind you. Cash is what makes the deals, right? If you could buy on cash or a line of credit where you can come in full purchase, if you have a good set of kahunas and you're like, I'm going to waive, all your inspections and things like that. If you're comfortable with those risks, you could really make moves fast. And as you guys know, that's power, right? When you have the cash and you're willing to take risk. And so, I think it depends on where you are in your life. I think partners, as long as you can trust them, you have an understanding, you form your legal partnerships the right way with multiple LLC layers and things like that. Protect yourself, watch out for each other. But certainly partners are a way to just grow, right? Just to multiply your business at a faster rate.
Yeah, and I think you said something earlier that was very important. Many people may not have picked up on. Everyone has an asset, right? I mean, for you look at it. You had the students to come in to fill those units. You had a lawyer who actually was a partner that took care of that part of it. So you guys just use what you had as assets to then jump into real estate, right? So it's pretty interesting on how that works.
Yeah, and I think, you talk to a lot of successful guys, and they're like, my money's all in the market. It's market. And I think real estate plays certainly are more long-term plays. Can you fairly say that they always are? I think they are. It's a safe long-term play for me, I just put everything back in to expand and grow. Do I take a little cash out so I can live a little more comfortably? Of course I do. But, do I have the big fancy car right now? No, I don't. There's time for that. Like right now, I just want to multiply, and in the 10 years or 15 years when I retire, there's going to be a pretty good nugget there, and certainly want to leave a couple big units for my kids and set them up for success.
100%. Tom, I know. Sorry, I've been taking up the airwaves. So, Tom, I know you got a bunch of questions there. What do you got?
I actually had a bunch of stuff written down, but yet you went over all of them already. So I'll try and figure out a few different things here. So let's talk about where because you made a comment on stuff that's listed and whatnot. Where are you finding your deals, Gary? Do you have local guys that are bringing you stuff? Are you outsourcing yourself? Are you doing your own marketing? Like where are you finding your inventory?
Yeah, I think when you establish yourself in a small community like this, and quite honestly, obviously the pucks, the properties, we're a pretty big deal in this town. We live in a little fishbowl here. We're at the Division III level. We're number one in attendance, and 3,000 people come to our games, and
awesome.
And so, having that little bit of personality in town, people are aware of the secondary business, and so they know I'm in that, and they will approach me when they have a property available. And so just kind of having that, it has helped. There's no question about it. There was a guy in town, Dominic Pavia, and he's a big deal here. He owns the largest commercial real estate firm in town, and his daughter went to Utica University, started dating one of my players, and this was early in my career. So this guy called me into his office, and I was like, "This is great. This guy wants to partner with me." Heard I had a couple houses, and he's a very intimidating Italian guy, and as I sat in front of him, it became just very quickly clear that I was there so that he could find out all about my player, but good enough for his daughter. But after I assured him that he was a quality kid, he quickly wanted to do a solid for me, and he just started throwing me property opportunities. And if you fast forward to about 6-7 years now, my player married that young lady and has become the heir apparent to that company. So he's on the commercial side now, and he's feeding me these apartment deals. And actually, we had lunch the other day, and he's trying to get me into my first retail commercial space, which, you guys might have an opinion on that. I'm not sure I want to jump into that, but it is, it's nice to have a player that was a captain, a really good player, and a loyal and a super kid, right in the business. And so he's talking to partners in our golf league now, and just people knowing that, okay, this is his business. If somebody's down on cash and they want to unload a property quick, word of mouth gets out, and I'm ear to the ground, I think is your best way to do it. There's no question about it.
Well, the great takeaway, Tom, let me just add something. The great takeaway there is obviously the networking and taking care of people, right? I mean, obviously you gave your feedback, and if he's a great kid, you gave him the right feedback. You took care of his, thought process, his challenges, which was making sure his daughter was dating the right person. So you took care of him, and in the end, you trickle-down effect. Obviously, you're getting taken care of because you took care of people because you cared. So I just want to add to that, Tom, before you jumped in.
No, I completely agree. I was going to actually ask if after the show, if you can connect us with him and we can have him on, him being in the commercial space, being an ex-player, yada, yada, yada. So that's, if you wouldn't mind, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah. Out of the Albany area. And what was great about Kevin is his dad was one of these guys who owns 300-400 unit townhouse complexes in Syracuse. So he had a real estate background to begin with, but marrying this local Italian is similar to what I did, by the way. We get swallowed up. We can never leave Utica. You'll end up in a hole or in a barrel down the river. So he's here, and I would love to connect you guys. He's a superhuman. He's great.
Fantastic. Tom, keep rolling.
you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're back.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So as far as your units go, are you mostly doing student housing at the moment? Is that kind of your main niche, or you said you got into some family rentals as well?
Yeah, I would actually say it's transitioned to the majority is the regular population now, young executives. My apartment complexes, I've got an 18 unit that are all 2 bedrooms. I've got a 25 unit that are 1 or 2 bedroom apartments. The town has really got a niche of cybersecurity businesses moving here on a shutdown Air Force Base that has become a hub for cybersecurity. We have a chip fab factory, a $2 billion investment from the state that they put here. So it's all young engineers moving into the so it's a population we really want to, they're great young executives that are young kids that are making a good wage, come from good homes, all have education backgrounds. Have I transitioned some of my student houses into some families? I have, just because of competition as people get into the competitive space, knowing what those margins were 10 years ago. I mean, the margins were just stupid back then. And so now, it's a competitive space where you might not be able to fill those with students. So the rental market's through the roof here. That 4 bedroom now I'm renting for $1,800 a month to a family, and now they're picking up all the utilities, right? So it's transitioning, and as you guys know, you don't want your properties vacated for less than a month, right? You got to turn those over, get them painted, redo the floors, cut the lawn, and get it on the market again.
Yep, 100%.
Very cool.
Tom, what else?
Are you yeah, no, I just want to go over. So obviously Division III, there's going to be a good handful of guys that kind of are probably losing the passion and don't really want to play after school, and they don't want to pursue playing. Do you have guys coming to you and kind of asking you business advice, knowing that you are in that space? Is there any interest in the industry as far as real estate goes? And are you taking time out of, being Gary the coach to Barry the business mentor?
Yeah, 100%. And not only the hockey guys, I've had football guys and lacrosse guys and women on the other sports teams say, can we go grab a cup of coffee? And some of them are in their parents' ears about, hey, this is a business and there's a market in these university towns, and they've jumped in. So it's, sometimes you love to see them flourish. Connecting you guys with Dante Zapata. He's a guy who came in. He goes, I want to do what you've done. This is something that looks sexy to me, and I think it is a sexy business. It's very entertaining. It's exciting. I've got a little home office that people ask, how do you manage all this? I probably average an hour a day in my home office doing the leasing, and I love looking at the screens and the spreadsheets and things grow. But yeah, Dante came in as an example. He was a captain of ours and said, I want to play a couple of years of pro hockey. The big difference, I think, with Division I, Division III is, as I mentioned, there's not a freshman we don't bring in that's not 21 years old. So that in the COVID year, we've got 26-year-olds on our team. So these guys really do have real responsibilities and bills when they're done. And their parents are kind of like, are we done with this hockey thing, right? Because they're not going to the NHL. So can they go to the SP or the East Coast or overseas and play a couple of years? Of course they can. Are they going to make their $500-600 a week? Yes. Is that going to make anybody a good living? No. So they get it. They come back after a couple of years and say, time to make money. And we've got a handful of guys that love the real estate market and are turned on by it.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because we talked to Dante yesterday. So he was out visiting his girlfriend out in California right now. So really, really good dude. It's kind of funny. This is, we're having this podcast today, but just so everyone knows, we have an outreach as well. So this is for our real estate investment company. So I have at the beginning, I was supposed to say this, but I have a virtual assistant company that has, does real estate, does medical division, does property management, etc. And also our Perch Rock investment company, which we reached out to you, Gary, to see if any of your players are looking for life after hockey. So that's how we end up getting in contact. And Gary told us that he's also in real estate, which is a perfect kind of So, perfect kind of segue. So thank you for that, Gary. I just want to, let you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, great kid. Obviously, I don't know how big you guys are out in that market, Huntington Beach, California, I believe, but he's one of these gritty guys, and hopefully, if he starts working for you, he gets that front chiclet fixed. But
I kind of shit on him a little bit. I said, "Oh, by the way, nice teeth." He started laughing.
He looks the part, and if you drop the mitts with him, you're probably losing. So he's a gritty guy, and we were lucky enough to have him for the 4 years. A great leader.
Awesome, sweet. Tom, I know we're coming up to the 30-minute mark, and obviously, Gary, you're on your way to a recruiting trip. So, Tom, any parting words? You're muted. Tom does this once every single podcast. Tom will do this. Everyone.
Yeah. Got it. Well, I don't want any background noise. I want to be able to have him talk. So, are you still buying right now? You kind of just on the sidelines?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a question you get, Tom, and I'm always buying. I got 2 calls literally yesterday, cold calls of people. Are you selling? So
is it me?
You receive those calls, and my quick answer is, I have nothing for sale, but I'm always selling. If the right opportunity comes around, and I'm closing on something, and I'm a little cash poor, I'll sell. I'll sell one of my single families. So I would say the real answer to that is I'm always buying. I'm always selling. If I don't have the cash flow that I need, then I will find a partner. And there's enough attractive deals out there still. I think you got to look a little harder in this town. But perhaps I got to get into your guys' space and be a little more comfortable getting outside the city limits here.
That's right. I like it. So if anyone, obviously on this side of it, what we always do is obviously we wrap this up, but we want to thank you, Gary, for taking the time again out of your busy schedule. And, we're impressed by obviously what you've built, not only obviously your hockey team, because that is building, that's a business, and that is building from ground up. We all know that in the hockey space, it is very difficult to stick with one organization for 20 plus years, which obviously looking at your record, you guys are kicking ass in the last 8+ years. So we want to obviously commend you and congratulate you on that. And thank you again for taking our call and, referring some of your players to us because, we're here just like you to help them succeed. We have one of our newest hockey players on our team, Vinny. He's done very, very well. We just had this conversation. He came from the East Coast. And he's like, I've never made so much effing money. He goes in the last 3 months, coming to this, and it's just brand new. So it's just good to hear, and obviously great to connect with you on that side of it. So thank you very much. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. And I will definitely ask you guys to do me, the solid is I'll get down in your area and expect a lunch or a dinner with you guys so that, I can push your buttons and see
at least a couple beers
that I don't know about.
With some beers, Gary.
That's something I enjoy. So
perfect.
Yeah. Always with beers. Right. Always. Yeah.
That's cool. That's the whole point for all this is to, I think, when we started this, I think it's a year and a half or 2 years ago, it's gained some legs, and now it was just the 3 of us, and now we have 4 or 5 ex-players that are now transitioning into real estate, and we're building a locker room. We're building that networking circle, and I think we're going to be the first real estate company that's built with hockey guys. So that's the goal. I don't know where this is going, but hopefully it does go somewhere. And guys like yourself that they have those guys that want to get into business where they don't really know what to do. They can reach out to us, and if we could be any type of resource to help them, or maybe point them in a market where we have connections and do business and set them up with somebody there to get them going. That's the whole point of all this. So, thank you again. And we appreciate it.
I love the whole point of it. And it's no BS because I know you followed up with Dante, and it's great to make these contacts and connections, guys. I wish you well. And certainly I will stay in touch. I'll take advantage of the relationship.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Good luck in your recruiting trip. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye. you.